Now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Casa D18 Studios channel. You could be anywhere in the world right now, and you're here with me, and I greatly appreciate that. And it's time, once again, to step into the war zone. That's right, it's time for another edition of the Weekly Acquisition Report, the show where I, the Renegade, show you, the viewers, the latest additions to my ever growing movie library. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the War Zone, the Weekly Acquisition Report, the show where I, the Renegade, show you, the viewers, the latest additions to my ever growing movie library. Today we've got a stack, about 10 movies, I want to say, give or take, from recent trips to Goodwill. As I've mentioned before, every Thursday, Goodwill in Southern California, or at least the ones near me, do a color day where the color of the week tag that is generally 50% off is $2. Anything with that tag is $2 on Thursday. So you can go in there and you can buy a couch for $2. You can buy a television for $2, a Blu-ray player for $2, assuming they have them, of course. But you can get all kinds of good stuff for $2 on Thursdays, the color of the week. So I always wait to go into Goodwill on Thursdays and just kind of see what they have. Some weeks are really good. Like I have a lot of stuff here that is green tag. So that was a really successful week for me. But then I've got like 2 movies that were white tag, 3 or 4 that were purple tag. So, those weeks weren't as good. So, you save them all up and do one big presentation to you, the viewers. All these are DVDs, no Blu-rays. I do have a few Blu-rays that I've found there recently, but I'm going to try and save those for another week, and I can just do a whole Blu-ray presentation. But let's get into this. So we're going to go in the order that I found them. We're going to go white to green to purple, because this past week was purple tag. And the first one I'm going to show off to you is a movie. If I'm being honest, I've heard all kinds of horrible things about this movie, that it is just bad. But number one, it's a movie I've always wanted to see. And number two, the main reasons I wanted to see it, number one is because all the bad stuff I've heard about it. And number two, it was the last film that John Candy worked on before his untimely death. I'm talking about Wagons East. John Candy and Richard Lewis in this Western. And I was a huge John Candy fan growing up in the 80s. He was just a funny guy. We'll just leave it at that. No words really needed. If you've seen John Candy, you know what I'm talking about. So I've always wanted to see this movie, but I think I've always kind of distanced myself from it because of the fact that it was the last thing he worked on before he passed. And I didn't want to watch it with sad eyes and then start crying every time I saw him on the screen, because he was a comedic genius that we lost way too young. But I feel like I'm ready for it now. And I've kind of developed more into a fan of Westerns. I wasn't really a Western fan back here. I enjoyed Young Guns too. I think I had seen Tombstone, but I wasn't like rooted into Westerns like I am now. So I've got a Western here with a comedic legend that I miss dearly. I had to pick it up for $2 and give it a chance. See where things go, see where the day takes us with it. Speaking of a comedic genius, and yes, his best days are definitely way behind him, but I've also been talking about an SNL alumni month. I found a Steve Martin movie, The Man with Two Brains. Again, I've heard some great stuff about this because this was prime Steve Martin. Never seen it, but I'm very, very curious too, because this was late 70s, early 80s Steve Martin, before he started to kind of phone it in, if you will. Some people would say the last great thing he did was The Three Amigos. I did enjoy Parenthood and My Blue Heaven, both of which came after Three Amigos. But pretty much from that point in his career on, his movies have been very miss rather than hit for me. So it's going to be good to go back and check out prime Steve Martin in The Man with Two Brains. So that was it for the white tags. Now we're going to move right along, as I like to say, into the green tags. And what better way to start the green tags than with the sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Muppetational The Muppet Show. Time Life back in the day put out a series of DVDs like this. I want to say there were 15 or 20 in the set. And at one point, I owned at least half, if not more than that, of these Muppet Show discs. 3 celebrities per disc. This one features Elton John, Julie Andrews, and Gene Kelly's episodes. But then I got rid of them because Disney was starting to release the complete seasons of The Muppet Show. And they put out season 1, 2, and 3 out of 5. And then they slammed on the brakes. Season 4 and 5 have never been released, and a lot of the episodes that were on these compilations were from season 4 and 5. So I am not 100% sure if I have these 3 celebrities already or not. I'm going to have to go back, do my research. But even if only one of these 3 episodes is one that I don't own on a hard disk, I've now got that back. And I want to try to find all the others in this set, because there are episodes on these discs that haven't been released on complete seasons yet. Because like I said, Disney just halted and never put out 4 and 5. And it really upsets me as a Muppet fan, because I want them all. Either Disney needs to get their heads out of their butts and release seasons 4 and 5, or just do The Muppet Show, the complete series box set, or something. Like, come on, Disney, get with it. Next one I got might surprise you guys, but being a guy grew up in the 80s, born in the 70s, always heard about Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys. And no, we're not talking about Matt and Jeff. But I picked up the modern day take of Nancy Drew starring Emma Roberts for $2. And I haven't seen this one either, but it's definitely something I'm looking forward to, because it's both she and I believe the Hardy Boys are both in it as well, doing what they do best, solving mysteries. So I'm highly looking forward to checking this one out as well. I'm not sure how I'm going to work it into a theme month. Maybe I'll do it one year for my birthday, just because it's something that represents the time I grew up. And so it's an easy way to transition into my birthday month. Next one I bought for 2 reasons. Number 1, the cast looked intriguing as hell. Number 2, it's still sealed in plastic. So I usually try to snatch up the movies that I find sealed in plastic, because if I already own it, it's a giveaway. It's a prize. I can resell it. I can do whatever with it, because more people are more than likely to snatch up a sealed movie than a used movie. But I found Cellular, starring Kim Basinger, Chris Evans, Jason Statham, and William H. Macy. Cast right there is intriguing as all get out. You figure you've got Vicky Vale from the 80s Batman movie. You've got Captain America. You've got Jason Statham, one of the modern kings of action movies. And you got William H. Macy. And again, the cast listing alone just intrigues the hell out of me. Plenty of different ways we can work this into a theme month. It'll be fun to get to it down the road. Now we start to take a trip. We're going to go back in time here as we transition from green into purple. The next 2 are still green tags, and then we're going to move into purple. But we're starting to go back in time here into movies that may or may not be on the docket, and something I'm a factor into when I do my Turner Classic Movies Month. Again, just the name we're kicking around so that you guys out there kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. But the first one, I don't think it's going to qualify, because I think I want the cutoff year to be 1970. It's either going to be 1970 or 1975 because I want the movies that I do in Turner Classic Movie Month to be before I was born. And I was born in 76. So it's like cutting it at January of 1976, I feel that's just kind of an odd place to cut it. So I'm thinking either cut it on the 0 or cut it on the 5. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. Should I cut the Turner Classic Movies Month off at 1970 and be movies that were made prior to 1970? Or cut it at 1975 and do movies that were made prior to 1975? Let me know. But the one that I got that I don't think is going to make the cutoff, the original Poseidon Adventure. I mean, you want to talk about an all-star cast. You've got Gene Hackman, Ernest Borgnine, Red Buttons, Roddy McDowall, Shelley Winters, Jack Albertson, Leslie Nielsen. A hell of a cast in this film. I know that I've seen at least half of this before. I don't recall if I've seen it all, but I'm definitely looking forward to giving it a watch at some point. And now we're going to go even further back in time with that. We're going to go to the days of Cary Grant, An Affair to Remember. Still sealed in plastic. Like, you can see that it's kind of messed up a little bit here. Someone almost opened it, but it is still completely sealed in plastic here. An Affair to Remember, though, this is definitely something that's going to be in serious contention. Because when you think Turner Classic Movies, you think about the greats. You think about the Cary Grants. You think about the John Waynes. You think about the James Cagneys. You think about the Judy Garlands and the Mickey Rooneys and the Marilyn Monroes. So it's definitely something that's in contention to be featured in that month, as are this next trio of films, because you want to talk about icons of that era, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. And this next trio of movies, both of them are the stars in it, man. They are together as that power team that they were in those days. First up, Shall We Dance? Now keep in mind, I don't know really anything about these movies except for the fact that it's Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. And I know the names, and I know how iconic they were, and I knew that I needed these movies in my collection because of who they are. So Shall We Dance, starring Astaire and Rogers. Also got Follow the Fleet, which appears to be some kind of naval film, starring Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Songs by Irving Berlin, like Hello, Mr. White Christmas, okay. And The Barkleys of Broadway, also starring Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Now, also starring Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Now, any of these that I don't get to in Turner Classic Movies Month can always be done when I do musicals again, because they are song and dance people. So these movies are going to be musical in nature. The last one that I got to wrap up my haul for this week goes back to Disney, Tron Legacy, the sequel to the 80s Tron movie, which I know I saw when I was younger, but I don't really remember it. I don't own it. Didn't own this one either. So for $2, and it had the movie rewards points inside it. Don't know if they've been redeemed yet, but I'm definitely going to try and cash those in, get 100 points right there. So that is my haul from Goodwill for this week on the Warzone. What did you guys think? Let me know. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. What do you think of this haul? Have you seen Cellular? Have you seen The Barkleys of Broadway or Follow the Fleet? Have you seen any of those Fred Astaire, Ginger Roger movies? What about An Affair to Remember or the original Poseidon Adventure? Did you enjoy Tron Legacy? What about the Nancy Drew movie? Let me know. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Let's engage in that conversation. And then, of course, make sure you guys tune in tomorrow, right here to the Casa D18 Studios channel for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. And we kick off our final week of movies that star WWE Hall of Famers with a film that stars the 2019 WWE Hall of Famer as a member of D-Generation X, Paul Triple H Levesque, the Chaperone. Also starring Ariel Winter, Yeardley Smith, Kevin Corrigan, Kevin Rankin, Annabeth Gish, and Jose Zuniga. You're not going to want to miss out on that. Right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel on a brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, The Chaperone, as we kick off our final week of movies that star WWE Hall of Famers. So make sure you smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed, make sure that notification bell is turned on so you don't miss out anytime a video drops right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel or anytime we go live, as is the case with Statboy Sports Bar, Open Mic Night, pay-per-view PLE coverage, etc. Share these videos with your family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, movie fanatics, cinephiles in your life, fans of thrift store videos, fans of unboxing videos, fans of yard sale videos, anybody you can think of that would enjoy this content, this video, share it with them. It's the only way we're going to be able to maintain my visibility in YouTube's algorithms now that the Casa D18 Studios channel is in fact monetized. Thank you once again to everybody out there in YouTube land that did what they needed to do to help me get monetized. It means so much more to me than you'll ever know. And I will see you guys next time.